Hey, it's Joe Crump. There are two things that I'd like to accomplish with this video today. One, I'd like to kind of give you a sneak peek at the new Auto Marketer and what it's going to look like and the functions of it and how it's going to work. Hopefully, we've streamlined it and made it a much better system. But there are going to be some changes in it that you need to be aware of, and I think that you're going to be excited by because it's going to allow you to expand in a way that we haven't been able to do in the past with this system. So I'm excited about it, and it's actually getting very close to being done. We're within weeks, certainly months, with it being able to release to our beta testers and then to everybody on the Auto Marketer. That's the first thing I want to accomplish. The other thing, and I think the main purpose for this video, is to show you how to manage your leads. One of the things that uh, you must have in order to have a viable business is leads. Nothing happens in business, in any entrepreneurial activity, until a sale is made. So you have to know how to do that and how to put together deals and get them accepted. And one of the most important things that you need to learn is how to follow up properly with those people. The biggest problem that we had with the Auto Marketer, ironically, is that we had too many leads, and it was hard to follow up on them and keep track of them all. And everybody was trying to use Yellow Pad to just write them down and then go back to them and try to stay up with them. But I wanted to automate that process of follow-up in addition to the initial contact. And so we created this a CRM, which I think is a wonderful addition to this system. And I think it's also one of the most user intuitive systems around. We're still in beta, so it's not without its issues. But I'm excited about what it can do, and I think it'll help you change your business. It'll also make it possible, ultimately, for you to automate and outsource, so that you do less and less, and hopefully make more and more. That's the goal, at least. So let's get started with the Auto Marketer and what's happening with the new Auto Marketer. The Auto Marketer is set up so that you can create multiple campaigns within the Auto Marketer, and you can do either text blasts or voice blasts out of the Auto Marketer to get your initial leads. We scrape Craigslist, and we pull all the ads off of Craigslist in a particular area, in a particular category, and we mail out through text blast most of the time to these people and say, would you consider selling your home rent to buy rather than selling it outright? And by getting those leads to come in, we're able to convert a lot of those leads into the for rent method, also into the other zero down structures that we use, and also into wholesaling deals, and sometimes for some of us, for cash deals as well when we buy properties substantially under market value. So this lead generation process helps us with all of those types of leads. The most leads that you're going to get are going to be with the for rent method. That's the type of lead that is most common. There's going to be the most people that this will actually serve their purposes. Not everybody can give away a ton of equity in their property or want to, but we can actually help people sell their property for full price. And that's what I teach and all this other stuff that you guys have been learning from me. So I'm not going to get into that issue. And I'm not going to actually talk to you about how to talk to these people. What I'm going to do is show you how to do the follow-up and how to use the automation to make that work. But this is the new Auto Marketer, and as I said, we can create different campaigns. I created a campaign that's a 3-month sequence, and you're going to get these templates so that you can just use them. This is all going to be all set up for you already, and you can just start using these templates as they are. It's now possible to send out to more than one phone number, through more than one phone number. The old Auto Marketer, you could only use one text and voice blast phone number for outbound messages to the ads on Craigslist. Now you can have as many of them as you like. They're $3 a piece per month per phone number, so they're pretty cheap and they're easy to get and use. And when you set up your campaign, you can choose which phone number they go out from. So if I had more than one phone number here, you'd have a list of them here, and I could pick the one that I want it to go out from. And we'll also get responded back to that number. And the old automarketer, it's not possible to communicate back and forth through that phone number by text. And now that's going to be possible using the lead management system, which I'm going to show you. You can also pick the category that you want. I've picked housing for sale by owner, and there's lists of them here, so you can pick any of the ones you want that are Craigslist categories. So if I wanted to do housing, I could pick that, and I'm going to pick the by owner section. I also can pick the location that I want to be in, and I've already picked Indianapolis, so I'll take that. And we've got a maximum blast number of 10,000, so it actually stops at some point. But the goal of this new automarketer is that you set it up, and it starts sending out your advertisements every single day, or every 2 days, or every whatever days that you want to send it out, without you having to come back to it. So leads are going to constantly come in through your system into your lead inventory, and you'll be able to have an ongoing system without ever having to come back to the automarketer and turn it back on again. So we set it up so that you can put in as many as you want here, or as few as you want. If you just want to test 100 of them, do 100 of them. But I would suggest make this a high number and just let it run. And we're letting it run every day. You can also make this every 2 days. And then, of course, the maximum age of the listing, you want to keep that probably the same amount of time that you have for it running. It won't send out duplicates to phone numbers that it's sent to within the 7-day period. So even if it does go back and scrape ones that are duplicates, it'll see them as duplicates, and it won't send out to them for at least 7 days, at least not until they get into the final follow-up system. And I'll show you that briefly in a minute. So once you get this picked, you'll be able to go to the second section and be able to filter the criteria that you want. The only criteria that I'm using is I want 2 bedrooms and above. That helps me help me get rid of vacant land, helps me get rid of some other issues that I'd like to avoid. But I could put square footage, I could put price in here, I could put keywords that I want to include that are in the ad or exclude. Be careful about what you put in here. I put in vacant land because I'm not dealing with vacant land right now. And then once you've picked your filter, then go to this next section, and you can pick the campaign that it goes through. And the campaign that I've got set up here is the 3-month sequence. You can create your own campaigns, or you can use the ones that we have available. And if you go to this follow-up system, you can see the campaigns. But right here, you can also scroll down the page, and you can see what these campaigns are. So on day 1, it's going to send out a text, and the text says this: would you consider selling your home, rent to buy? If you would, I'm very interested. Please text or phone me. Thank you. And that's the message that they're going to get on the first day that they're scraped and pulled into the system and sent out. Now, once that phone number is put into this particular campaign, they're going to be contacted for 3 months in a row. So what's going to happen next is on day 4, they're going to get another one that's going to start, and you can set the times that they go out. We just put in that this goes out sometime between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., but you can make these times anything that you want. And the next message is, would you consider selling your home, rent to buy? If you would, here's the type of offer that I make. And this is a link that'll go here that's to your specific rent-to-own seller clone site that you have. And so they can click on that, and this linking tracking system will actually keep track of how many clicks you get, both total clicks and unique clicks that you'll be getting on that particular link. Now, you're going to get a lot more leads that respond by text on day 1 than you will on day 4, but you'll have a lot more people clicking through to the link and to the website that explains how you work. The goal here is that we're going to give them multiple messages over time that give them different options on how they can work with us. On day 8, it sends them another email, And this takes them to another clone site that we've got. This is a We Will Buy, I buy houses type of website. It's not specifically for the for rent method, which this one is. So it gives them a different way that you buy properties. And so it sends out another one. And this is on day 8. And then it starts doing it every week, every 7 days after that. And it sends them a different message. So it's sending out, this is one without a link in it. And then day 22, it does another one, but this time it has another link to the rent-to-own seller site. And then it takes them to the subject to site. And then it takes them to the other, here's the subject to URL that it takes them to. So all of these things take them to different messages, and either it's rent to own, or we buy houses with cash, or we want to do a property subject to, those types of deals. And it sends out those messages to the same person over a 3-month period, all the way up until day 78. So it's sending out the same people over this entire campaign during that time. And if you want to only send out one blast, which is the way a lot of people do it, but not the way I recommend, you can do that too. We're going to have a separate template that just sends out one message, and that's all they'll get from us for at least 7 days. If they post their ad again, then they'll get another message from us. But I find, and I think that if you look at all direct marketing, follow-up, constant follow-up, and constant touching your customer is going to be more likely to get a response. In direct marketing, they say that you have to hit people 8 to 10 times before that you start to get a reply. That's not true with the auto marketer. We get replies on the very first contact we send out. But they're not always ready to go at that time, and you might hit somebody on day 28 that you didn't get on day 1 that might be ready by that time. If they're just posting their ad for the first time on day 1 when you send it out, they may want to try for sell by owner it for a little while, but maybe by the day 28, they're ready to, they're sick of what they're doing. They realize that it's not going to work, and they might be ready to talk to somebody and be a little bit more serious about it. And when they see that you have infrastructure, that you have a website, you have a business, you follow up properly, and this is all done automatically. You don't have to do it yourself. If they see that you look like you're consistent, it will give you credibility. And the only way the sellers work with you in these systems that I teach is if they believe you are credible, if they believe that you can solve their problem, if they believe that you are honorable and are a real thing and not a scam, not somebody that's calling from some foreign country trying to rip them off. So that's the goal and the process that we're going through. Once you have that, then you got to classify your incoming messages. This classification is the same thing that we use in the AutoMarketer today, and we're using the same classification system that we did before, which is using keywords. And this isn't set up in this particular campaign yet. It's still being worked on, but it's going to have things in here, keywords in here that are exactly what's happening in the AutoMarketer right now. And it'll look for those keywords in a return message or a return text from these people, and then it'll classify them as either a yes or maybe or as a no. And once they go into those campaigns, it's going to put them in a specific campaign for people who said yes and a specific campaign for people who said no. Because some people will respond with this, I'm not interested in that at this time. And those people will go into a campaign that still follows up with them every 3 weeks. And it'll take them out of the initial campaign that is hitting them through this process. So we want them to come into our system that brings them into our lead management system, and we know where they're at in their campaign. So if it's no, it'll still do a follow-up. If it's yes, it follows up in a different way. It also lets us know that they're in the system and that we need to call them and make an offer on that. So this is a really interesting addition to the text blast system in the AutoMarketer that is not there right now. Right now in the AutoMarketer, we have something that's very similar to this for emails, but not for text or for voice blast. And this is going to work for the text and voice blast responses that come in. So we're pretty excited about having that because it'll make the follow-up a lot easier. And then the last thing you have to do is just either hit Start Campaign Now, or you can schedule it. If I want to start this campaign and have it start working a week from now, I want to get my ducks in a row and I'm going to start in a week, I can schedule the time and date for it to start. Or if it's just one blast that I'm sending out, I can do that and pick the time and date that I want it to go out, and it'll go out exactly on that time and date. And then as soon as we save that and activate it, then it's going to look at the time and date when it's supposed to start. And on that time and date, it's going to start scraping. And as it scrapes, it's going to look at those ads that it scrapes, and it's going to determine whether or not we've sent to them in the last 7 days. It's going to determine whether or not they're a duplicate of themselves, and whether or not they have phone numbers or not. And if they have phone numbers and they're not duplicates, and we haven't sent to them within the last 7 days, then it's going to send them a text blast and start this campaign, this 3-month campaign. And it's going to put them in that queue, and it's going to continue to send them stuff until we take them out of that queue, or until that campaign is done. So that's how the new Automarketer is going to work. I think the exciting part, or the big change for this, is that you can use it. You can send it from any phone number that you own inside the Automarketer, and you can pick as many cities as you want as well. Before, the limit was five Craigslist locations. But I've got people that are doing this in multiple states, and in the past they've had to buy multiple Automarketers to do that. I guess I'm going to lose a few accounts because of that, but I think it's also it's going to be better in the long run for both them and for us, because it makes it easier for us to scrape just specifically what they're looking for, rather than scrape the entire Craigslist and then have them filter out what they want. It's going to filter out what they want as it's scraping, and then it's going to send just to those people. And that's going to make our infrastructure on our end a little bit easier, and it's going to make it easier for you, because you can pick as many different locations as you want. And if you want to do the entire Craigslist database, you can do that. And our system is set up to be able to make that happen. So I know this doesn't give you all the details on how to set this up and how to run it yourself and all that yet, but I just wanted to kind of give you a sneak peek of what's coming down the pike with the Automarketer. I'm pretty excited about it. Let's go on now and look at lead management and the CRM system. And by the way, the Automarketer that you're working on right now, it looks like this. And this follow-up system is what I'm talking about replacing right now. And let's also look at the text responses. If I look at edit classification filters, these were the keywords that I was talking about before, and it's actually in the email lead response. So these are the keywords: serious, it's positive, I doubt it, negative. So it puts them into these categories based on keyword combinations that we look for, and that's how that other system is going to be created. All right, and we're also going to get rid of this section here with the leads. We're going to have it all put into the lead management system. This is the new lead management system. Some of you already are using it, and if you're not, and your CRM doesn't look like this, then you should let us know. But by the way, if you have, let me just go back real quick. If you don't know how to get to the CRM, click on Automarketer Phone System. And when you click on that, it'll ask you to log in again, and then it'll take you right to this panel in this lead management system. So what we've got here are a bunch of leads. And if I scroll down to the bottom, I can see that there's 645 leads in this particular system right now. There's a lot of information on each one of these leads. Each one of these sections here is a lead. This is the text message that we got. So they're saying, we sent them a message saying, would you consider selling your home, rent to buy? And this guy's saying, all my homes are rent to buy. which is a good thing. So we want to call them, and we can put them into a campaign. In this particular section, once we get the new AutoMarketer set up, they will automatically be put into a yes campaign, or I can pick a campaign and put them into the yes campaign here. So I could put them into this campaign and save that, and it'll start sending them follow-up messages. I'm not going to do that right now with this lead, but I can put them into any campaign that I want when I'm talking to them. If I haven't talked to them yet, or if I have talked to them and I find out that they're interested in a certain follow-up, I can schedule a call with them. I can actually put a time in here of when we're going to make a call with them. And as soon as I schedule a time in here, it's going to put them on my calendar here. And this calendar, by the way, will sync up with Google Calendar. I use Google Calendar, and it's a wonderful thing. So you can sync it up with Google Calendar. So your leads, so it'll actually show up on your Google Calendar on your cell phone, and it'll be Google Calendar will have the leads that you have from your AutoMarketer on it, so that you'll know when to call people. The next thing is when you're talking to somebody and they have a property, you want to find out more about their property. So you can either select a property if they've got one in the database, or if they don't have the property here. And most of your new leads won't have a name or a property address on them because they're text blast leads, so they don't have that information yet. But if they do, and I've created a little test lead here for this purpose, then you'd have a property already in place. If not, you could just click on add a property, and it'll let you add an address. But I'm going to pick on a property that I've already. Well, why don't I do a new one? Let's just add a property. We'll call this test 2. So once I add a property, it's going to open up the lead questionnaire, which is going to help me find out more information about these people. And if I have somebody that I've hired to make these calls for me, I can have them read the questions. First of all, this is the information that came from them. So if I put in a quick note, I just put that in as a tester. But this is the information that came in. This is the link to the ad that they sent. I can either go to it on Craigslist, or I can look at it here, so I can see what the ad is that they've got, and I can have this information in front of me. But you can see it doesn't have an address on it on most of these, so I want to put that information in. I can add property images to this particular property, which I don't have right now. But if I went to the link on Craigslist, there might be some, if the ad is still up, and this may or may not. Looks like this ad has been taken down, so that ad's not up anymore. But a lot of them, if you're just getting those leads coming in, this is a little bit older ad. If these leads are just coming in, the ad's probably still up. So I can fill in the information on this lead as I get it. I can also put in the address of the property. I'm going to just pick a property that I know exists. And then I'm going to verify that property, and it's going to find it on Google Maps, which is pretty cool. So now it's verified the property as long as that address really exists, and I can copy that to the home address, or copy that from, oops, screwed that up. So now that I have this verified in here, I can get other information. I can look at this menu at the top here, and it'll give me more information. So let's say I want to find this property on Zillow. I can click the Zillow button, and it'll pull up the property on Zillow, which is kind of cool, which gives me the bedrooms and baths and the square footage and what the estimated value is of this property, all the details about it, when it's been on the market, what it thinks the monthly rent might be. And this is Zillow, so it's not 100% accurate, but it's not bad either. And it'll give you a good place to start, and it'll make it possible for you to have a pretty good understanding of where this property is in the city that you're working in and what else is around it. I can also click on Google Maps, and it'll pull up another window. And that window will have actually a picture of the house. It'll have it on the map, but it'll also have a photograph of the neighborhood. So if I open this up a little bit, I can see the property. And I think most of you have been on Google Maps before. So I can look down the street. I can see what's across the street. I can look down the other side of the street. I can move around. And I get a pretty good feel for what the location is of this property. So when I'm talking to these people, I have a really good understanding of what this property is all about. The other thing that has is Rentometer. And Rentometer, I can't do an autofill on, but I can type in the information on Rentometer, and it'll tell me if the rent that they're asking for their property is within the ballpark. If I type in the address and put in that they're asking for $850, I can analyze it, and it'll give me a little meter here to tell me whether or not it's reasonable. And it looks like this is reasonable in this area, and that it goes anywhere from this range to this range, and it's not a little bit of information. The next thing I can get on this page as well, I can pull up selling options, and these are the options that everybody has when they sell their property. And it's something that you should definitely read through each of these so you understand what they are, because all objections that sellers have are going to come back to what are your options. I know what you want, but what are your options? Can you do what you're trying to accomplish? And one of the things they can do is they can continue to sell for sale by owner. And what I've done is written out the pros and cons of doing it for sale by owner, the analysis based on that information, and it'll give them a pretty good understanding. If you just read through this information with them, it'll tell them what they can do with for sale by owner. And this is sort of as a guide. You could either read it to them, or you could learn it and be able to recite it as they need it. You can list the property for sale with a real estate agent, and it gives all the pros and cons and the expenses of using a real estate agent. You can sell it as fire sale prices and drop the value on it. You can give it back to the bank as a short sale. You can sell it subject to. You can sell it on a land contract or lease option. These are the ones that we can make money on, and these are the ones that are going to usually make the most sense. Ultimately, most of these are going to be with lease options, and this is the lease option process, the pros and cons of that, and how it might make sense for them. The goal here is to give them as many options as we can and let them decide which makes the most sense for them. As long as it's an option that we're willing to do. And even if this option is not working with us, it's okay to go that direction and to help them solve their problem. Because most of the time, our solution is going to be better than what they can do without us. But if they want to do it the other way, and you open that up to them and you tell them, hey, you could do it this way if you want, then they can make a decision, and it builds your credibility that you're not just giving them a line of BS, that you're actually trying to help solve the problem. And that's a really important part of this. Now, as you scroll down the page, once you have that information, you have questions that you want to ask them. And these questions will help you analyze the deals using any of the zero down structures that I've got. And I've talked an awful lot to you guys about these kind of things, the zero down structures and the for rent method and all that. So I'm not going to go into that in detail, but this is a questionnaire that you can have your telemarketer do these questions, or you can ask them yourself, and that'll help you analyze what the deal is. If you don't know what their problem is, you can't analyze their situation. And the skill that it takes to be able to convert people and sell properties there's a learning curve to get there. And it gives you an opportunity to get to know these people by asking them questions. Also, for them to feel that you care about their situation and that you're actually trying to solve their specific situation rather than having a one-size-fits-all solution to what they're trying to do. So how much do you want for it? How much do you think it's worth? How'd you come up with a price? How much will it rent for? Is it vacant? Does it need repairs? List the repairs and the approximate cost to do that. How long have you owned it? And then you can save here, and it'll save the progress in your system. So you'll always have this property and it'll be saved. And then you want to find out a little bit about their mortgage. Do they have a mortgage? How much do they owe on it? What are their payments on it? What's their interest rate? Any information you can get is going to help you. If you decide to do this as a subject to deal, you're going to need to know if they've got a mortgage balance. Even if you're doing it as a lease option, it'd be nice to know how much they owe on the property, because if they've got a property that's $150,000 and they owe $140,000 on it, it's going to be very difficult for them to hire a realtor to do that. Looks like we've got a typo there. I have to fix that. Um, so, and these, are the payments current? That's going to impact whether or not you can make an offer, or what kind of offer you're going to make. What their situation is. Why are you selling? Do you have to sell? Would you consider keeping it? Are you moving out of the area? How soon do you have to move? All these things are really vital. And then there's a couple of things on here as well to help your telemarketer. If the mortgage is 0 to 30% below market value, would you sell it just to get out of it, because you may not be able to sell it with a realtor and not come to closing with money? And we can show them how to do that with a lease option. And would you consider doing it with a lease with an option to buy? If they've got substantial amount of equity and are willing to sell it under market value, then you can do a wholesale deal or do something along those lines. And I put in some dialogue here that can help you talk to them, or have your telemarketer talk to them using this dialogue to help them set up an appointment so that you can call them back. Sometimes when you're first getting started, it's easier to do this in 2 steps, where you ask all the questions, you get off the phone, you analyze the deal, and say, I can offer them the lease option deal, the FREM method. I can offer them a subject to. I could offer them a land contract. I could offer them a cash offer of 40, 50% under market value. Which one makes the most sense for me, and which one do I want to offer them? If all you want to do is offer them the lease option, and that is what you think makes the most sense for them, that's what you're going to call them back and make that offer. Now, ultimately, if you're making these calls, if you're calling these leads back the first time, and I suggest, if you haven't done this, or if you're not good at this, that you don't hire somebody else to do it for you until you are good at it. But if you're making these calls, you want it to get to the point where you're making the offer on the first call, because it's often hard to get back on the phone with them. But if you've got somebody else making the calls for you, they can work as a third-party referral for you. You say, hey, my boss is going to give you a call. He's going to make an offer. He's a really nice guy. He's not pushy. If you like his offer, great. If you don't, that's okay too. There's no hard feelings. He's not going to beat you up. Would that be okay? And then you can schedule this call, and it'll let if you're the telemarketer, it'll let the boss know when they're supposed to call. I'm going to let you guys scroll through some of this information, but you can also put information about the bedrooms and baths and square footage and all this other information about the property specifically, so you can keep that and have that information to refer to, whether they sell it to you now or you come back to them later. So let's say you're talking to Mary, and you call, she says she doesn't want to do it right now, but you're going to call her back, and that she wants to try this for 3 months. So you put it on your calendar to call her back in 30 days. And in 30 days, you call her back and say, hey, Mary, I know you've got that property over in this location with this many bedrooms and baths. You got all that information in front of you. You understand why they're moving, what their situation is. All that information that you saved here, when you call them back, will help you when you're trying to close them when you call them back in a month. So this is a wonderful questionnaire. Eventually, I'm going to set this CRM up so that you can modify the lead questionnaires as well. So theoretically, you could set this up with any type of sales process that you have. This is designed for real estate. But we've also got a system that's set up for car lead. It's called carleadzap.com. And it's for car dealers to get leads. And we're going to do this as well with other types of businesses, because this type of lead development, lead generation, lead development, and lead conversion is vital to any business out there. Again, if nothing happens till a sale is made. You don't have a business until you've made a sale. So this can take you back to the specific lead information for this specific person, or I can go back to the lead dashboard, which is the main page that I've already showed you. So let's go back to the lead information so I can show you what this is all about here. Here's the lead information for this person. If I want to enter some information, some info about seller. And I want to add some information to my follow-up, so I've made some notes about it. I've added a quick note, and this shows the actions in the lead timeline of what's happened in this particular lead with this particular lead. And I've got my notes about it here. Shows when the lead came in. It has a link to the information about the property. If I wanted to send this person an email, I could click on this button and an email template will come up. And I can use the templates that you can create templates over here in this message template thing that you use over and over again. If there's certain messages that you send out over and over, you can create a template and it'll save it for you. You put the subject line in. You can put system variables in. So if I've got their first name in this system here down here, I can put that system variable into this section or into this section. And so I can put hi, Fred, and then I can put the rest of my message here and the rest of my email. And once that's done, I can send that and it'll go to that particular lead. I can also check who it's from based on the different people that I've got in my system. So I have a team. I could have it go from any of these people on my team. Or the person that sent it out. So we can use this with multiple people. And if I'm sending out an email and I want to save the email to the lead contact info, I can type in that information here and it'll save it to the lead itself. So it's putting it into the lead here. But I'm not going to send myself an email yet. I can also text them, and it'll send them a text, and I can select which number I want it to come from of all the leads, all the numbers that are in my phone system, and you can buy as many phone numbers that you want. And the beauty of this is, if you hire somebody who's a telemarketer in the Philippines, let's say, I want to work in Indiana, so I want a 317 area code, which is an Indiana area code. I can have them call from the Automarketer system here, phone system, and the caller ID that'll show up on the person that they're calling will be a 317 area code. So it'll make it appear that the person that is calling from a local number. So if I'm working in Texas and I'm calling into California, I can use a California number even though I'm in Texas, and it'll look like I'm in California. And you can add system variables the same way that you do with an email, and then you can type in your text message, and you can text back and forth through this system here. And by the way, every time you receive a text message, it'll be sent to you as an email with their text response. And if they send you a voicemail, same situation, it'll send you the voicemail through to your email with a copy of a WAV file. Let me show you this real quick. It'll send you a copy of a WAV. Oh, this is direct phone call. So it'll hang up. I don't want to call that person. It'll send them a WAV file and it'll send them a transcription of what they said. And the transcription is using a Google transcription program, and it's pretty good. It's you get some pretty funny messages sometimes, but it's a pretty good transcription system. So you can send them an email that way. You can also give them different statuses if they're a new lead or if they're a manual follow-up, or you're going to automatically follow up, you're not going to do it, or you're going to stop following up, but you want to keep them in, or they've opted out, they don't want to receive any more messages from you. You can do all that information there. You can determine whether they're a seller or a buyer or both, and you can determine whether an active lead or not an active lead, and you can add campaigns to them right here from this category. What I've tried to do is make it possible to add campaigns or leads or put information in from different places, whether it's here or if you go back to the lead dashboard and you get that information on this page here. So by adding a property or by adding them to a campaign or adding a quick note to them, remember what I wrote in some info about the seller, I can add more notes here. Or if I want to look at the ad or the information, if they have more than one ad that they've run from this phone number and we've scraped it, then both of those ads will show up here so we can see that they've run more than one ad. If their ad is still active on Craigslist, we can click here and we can see it on Craigslist. I think we looked at this one already and it's not on Craigslist anymore. If I want to delete this lead, I can just click on this and it'll delete it. And I can also call them from here. I can text them from here. I can email them from here, or I can go inside. I can schedule a call from here, or I can go inside this lead and I can get all the information here as well. And this shows when the lead came in, by the way, so I know when it initially came into the system. And you can also look here on the lead timeline to show what we sent to them, or what response we got from them and when we got that response. I can also add information about them here, in addition to on this property, because it'll save it, the stuff that's in this property information. Because if I want to look at this one that we set up before, you can see this information here, or I can go back to the lead information. And if I've scheduled a call for them, that'll show up here. I can access my calendar here. Of course, I could also access my calendar from the lead dashboard that I showed you previously. And it makes it really easy to get around this system and to be able to work these leads. I can also have a team. I can go into my team management and I can create multiple team members and I can assign them different leads. Or I can have, what you ultimately want to do is have an admin person who does that work for you. And they can create new team members. You can create new phone numbers for those team members. You can give them access to certain phone numbers so that if I want all the leads, all the phone calls that come in to this particular phone number to go to Fred, I can put him on here, and now he's going to get an email with every phone message that comes into him. And it's going to have that WAV file on there that he can listen to on his phone and, of course, be able to call back directly from his phone if he likes to do that. You can also call your leads from this little phone number thing here, and I can call them from any phone number that I happen to have. So if I have 10 phone numbers, I can pick which phone number I want it to go out from. I can type in their number here, or if I'm in the lead sheet, it'll put their number, it'll autofill this number, and I can then call them, and it'll hit them directly. I can also set up multiple phone numbers in here. So if I want to buy a new phone number, all I have to do is click on Buy New Phone Number. I can put in an area code. If I want an Indiana phone number in the United States, I can hit find a phone number, and it'll find a number. And if I like that number, I just hit Purchase the number, and it'll add it to the system. If I don't like that number, I can just hit it again, and it'll keep bringing up different numbers until I find one that I like. I try to find numbers that are easy to remember, that have multiple that are not too difficult, like 4423, 900-4423 is not a difficult number to remember, so that would be a pretty good one to have. And I can do this with just about any area code in the country. And then I can also go outside the country if I want. Just make sure that you look at the phone prices. If you go to the accountants down here, you can see the pricing on the different phone minutes that you'll be paying. I can also edit my phone numbers. So once I have a phone number, I can edit the information on this phone number. I can change who that's assigned to, or just change how I title it. Right now, this is titled Joe Crump, and that's why you see that. If I wanted to change that to Fred, I could change the name to Fred. I can edit the voicemail message that they hear when somebody calls in. And whenever you buy a new phone number, you always want to set up the voice message so that you can have that on the system. Hey, this is Joe. Leave a message after the beep, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. So that's basically the only, most of my phone numbers say that. I don't put in business information in any of that. But if I wanted to change it, I could. If I wanted to sound like a business, which I don't most of the time, but if I did, I could hit record, and I could record right through my laptop or through my microphone on my desktop and, have that information there. Unfortunately, you can't do that through your cell phone yet. If I want to forward this number, if somebody calls this number and I want it to go to my cell phone, I can put that number in here, and it'll forward all the calls that come in to my cell phone, or whatever landline or whatever number that I happen to want in there. If I want to assign the number to one of my team members, I can do that. And as soon as I do that, then if you remember on team management, I could pick which number I wanted to assign to them, and I could do that there once I assign it here. I can also enable or disable recordings. It's set up so that it automatically records your calls. or I'm sorry, it's the default is to not record your calls. So if you want to record your calls, you should set this up. And I like it's going to record all your messages that come in, but not your phone calls by default. But if you want to record all your conversations, this is a great place to do it. And this is also a great way to help you get better at making phone calls. So if you're making these calls and recording them, you'll be able to download your calls and listen to them, or listen to them over here in this system. I'm going to show you in a second. There are some rules about recording phone calls, and I have a Wikipedia page here that you can open up, and it'll tell you what states have restrictions on making these types of recording calls. So, but if I wanted to record all my conversations, I can do that. It also, you can turn on and off transcriptions for your calls. And right now, it only transcribes the calls that are, the calls that come in. You don't want transcriptions of long conversations because it's not good enough to do that, for one. And it's also expensive because you have to pay 5 cents a minute for your transcriptions. The other nice thing about this, if I wanted to see how much a particular person is calling, I can go in here and I can refresh, and I can see all the calls that they've made. Now I can look at both inbound and outbound. If I know that they're all making outbound calls and I'm paying them by the amount of calls that they make, I want to pull up their outbound calls between a certain date and a certain date, and I can know how much time they were actually on the call. So if I know that if I add these up, and eventually we're going to have it set up so that it'll actually add up the amount of minutes so that you can look at it here. We don't have that set up yet, but you can count these and you can tell how many minutes they've been on the call. And what I do with my telemarketers, say, we will pay you 150% of the time that you're talking to people on the phone. Because I've had too many telemarketers in the past that said, oh, I put in 10 hours this week making phone calls. I said, well, who did you call? Well, here I called these 20 people. And I find out that they actually only talked to 2 of those people, and they spent 20 minutes on the phone instead of 10 hours, and I ended up paying them 10 hours. But I want to only pay them for the time that they're calling. So I tell them I'm going to pay you 150% of the time that you're actually talking to people. And this helps you keep track of the amount of time that they're actually on the phone, and makes it a little bit easier for them to be accountable to you on the messages that they're leaving. You can also listen, if it's the inbound stuff at least. You can, even the outbound, you can listen to their calls. You can download their calls by clicking this. You can just listen to their calls by doing this. And you can download the text of the transcription as well, or you'll see the transcriptions there as well. As you see, these are the transcriptions that are coming in. The house is under contract and will close soon. So this guy called back about the lead. And sometimes instead of getting text responses to your messages, you're going to get phone calls, and they'll come into this place here. And when they come in, they're going to be emailed to you. You can go in here and check, but they'll also be emailed to you, and they'll also go into the lead management system as a lead when they call in. So that way, all that information will be kept track of. If that phone number is already in as a lead, let's say you text them, do a text blast to them through the automarketer, they respond by text, and then later on it sends them another message, and this time they call back, you're going to get an email the next time they call. It's also going to go back into their lead because it's going to recognize that it's the same lead because it's the same phone number, and it's all going to keep everything in one place, and it'll make it easier for you to manage these calls. So hopefully this is going to give you a pretty good idea of how to start doing follow-up and how to keep track of the people that you follow up with, because some people are just going to say no right now. Now, if you're in my mentor program, you already know that you don't get off the phone until people say no to you 5 times. And that's why we use these seller questionnaires to get all the information, so you can keep asking them questions even when they're saying no, and it'll give you something to keep moving forward with and helping them determine what their options are, because eventually no will turn into yes because we know that 85 to 95% of for sale by owners that are advertising on Craigslist will never sell their property for sale by owner. They'll either take it off the market, or they'll hire a realtor, or they'll use us to help them through that process and do some alternative to for sale by owner, which is usually going to be seller financing. And that's what we do and what we can help them with, and be able to do it in a streamlined way that makes us money and solves their problem. There's an awful lot of other things that are in this program that I don't have time to cover right now, but I wanted to give you an overview, and I wanted to give you an understanding of how to use this system and what to look for. I forgot to mention, if it says text blast, that's because you did a text blast initially. If it's an email, then this is the initial way they contacted you. So they came in, the first lead was set up because of a text blast. If you're doing voice blast, it would say voice blast there if they responded to a voice blast. The thing that I'm not going to go over today, but I just want to give you a brief look at, is this follow-up system. The follow-up campaigns are absolutely awesome, and there's a lot that you can do with them. And we've just started scratching the surface with setting up templates for it. You don't have all these templates yet, but you're going to have these templates in the follow-up system very soon. We're taking everything that's in Contactor Plus, which is the old clone site system, and we're switching it over to this follow-up system, so that instead of just being able to do emails, it'll also be able to do text, voice blast, and email follow-ups. It'll also allow you to create templates of tasks that need to be done. So every time we get a lease option memo signed, for example, there's a series of tasks that have to be done. We know that a sign has to go in the yard. We know that a lockbox has to go in the door. We know that pictures have to be taken of the property. We know that an ad has to go on Craigslist, and all these things that have to happen whenever that occurs. We don't want to do that work ourselves. We want to outsource that to an admin person, or to boots on the ground to handle that for us, or to a buyer finder who's going to be working with our buyers. And if we set up a list of tasks that have to be done, whenever we get a new lease option memo, all I have to do is tell my admin person that, okay, I've got a memo on this particular property. Here's the lead, and they can go into that lead's information, and they can implement that follow-up system for that particular lead. And it'll start sending out emails to the guy who's taking the pictures, to the guy who's putting the sign in the yard, to the guy who's talking to the buyers, to the guy who's putting the ad on Craigslist. That may all be one person in your business, but it may be multiple people if you do it the way that I teach you and the way you set this business up ultimately. So this is one of the most powerful tools that you can have if you're going to have a systematized business. The ability to create tasks, templated task series, because there's so many things that you do in your business over and over again that are very similar, depending on what part of the process it is. And all you have to do is put that task template in whenever that part is triggered. So lease option memo sign, then you put the lease option memo task list in. When you have a signed buyer, you have a task list that needs to be done. When you have a follow-up process, you have a task list of who needs to make those follow-up calls if they have to be done manually. And you also have the ability to create voice blasts where it actually calls them and leaves them a message. If you have a templated message saying, hey, I just want to let you know I'm still interested in buying your property. If you've changed your mind, give me a call. And you can use that same message in your voice for everybody that goes out. You can do it with a text, which is a process that we've already got set up, or you can do it with your voice, which is something you'd have to record. And you can create this type of thing for anything that you want to do. One of my students asked me, who happens to be a pastor at a church, said to me, Joe, could we use this as a follow-up system for our visitors who come to our church? I said, absolutely. You can put these people into the system, because you can actually import leads into the system. You can import their phone numbers right here. Just put them in a CSV file and upload them to the system, and then you can send out text blasts to them. You can't upload email addresses and do blasts like that, but you can manually put in email addresses and send those people things. We just have to watch out for spam issues. If people uploaded 100,000 names and tried to spam stuff, we can't do that. But you can send out text blasts that way. You just need to make sure that you have permission to send to those particular people. But if there were people that came to your church and they wanted to, you wanted to make sure they got followed up on, you could have multiple follow-ups over a sequence of time. So on day one, they get a text from you, say, hey, thanks for coming. We really appreciate you being there. On day 6, they say, hey, I hope you can come on Sunday to come back. And you can do this with any business, whether it's a restaurant or whether it's with a car dealership or whether it's an insurance company. You can use this CRM with any business that you have. Now, we've specifically designed it for real estate investors and real estate agents, but it's a phenomenal tool for just about any type of business that you'd want to use it for. And again, and I've said this a couple times in the on this recording already, nothing happens in business until a sale is made, and you never get a sale until you have a lead. So you have to generate your leads, then you have to develop your leads, and then you have to convert your leads. And that's the 3-step process that the Automarketer does so well, and helps you through that process with as little work as possible on your part. Alrighty. Well, I hope that helps and give you a better idea of how this all works. And looking forward to seeing how it works for you. If you ever have any problems with it technically, you can always put in a support ticket at joecrumpsupport.com, and Rick and his team will help you get through that process and make sure you have what you need in order to make this work. Again, the system is in beta. It's changing. I'm going to continue to make new tutorials as we go along, but I thought this would be a good way to get you started and get you to understand how this process works. All right. Thanks a lot.